Hey y'all, it's Megan. If you're returning to my channel, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome aboard. So today, I have got to talk about something, y'all. I thought I had discovered every fear I had, and yet here we are. I have come upon something new that I am absolutely disgusted by. And it's not so much a fear, it's just like, it's one of those creepy things that just makes me like, ugh. So today I'm talking about submechanophobia, a fear that you probably have too. So, definition of submechanophobia. It is the fear of man-made objects underwater. I've had this feeling about stuff like this for a long time. And I've just recently discovered, a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a video about like old Disney attractions, as you do. And it was about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But I saw pictures, and I'm going to include some from the website. It's 20kride.com. This particular video also included pictures from that website, and I was like, I must see more. And those pictures gave me every piece of chill that a human body can contain. And I was like, so this is a thing that I don't like. Let's do some research here. I'm going to start off talking about my first recollection of this feeling that I had. It was when I lived in Hawaii, and it was a couple of different times that I knew that I hated this whole experience, but I didn't know why. If you are just here to actually like hear about like the Disney and the theme park kind of stuff, I'll put a timestamp in right here so you can skip forward to that if you don't care about my past experience. But for those of you who do care, the first time that I can actually remember having, and it's one of the only times that it's ever happened to me, what I consider now to be like a panic attack. I don't know for sure that I've ever actually experienced one, but in my memory, this was the most panicked, sick, like just inconsolable, not able to function that I've ever felt. And it was on one of our trips to Pearl Harbor. It was actually, I think, the first trip that we took to Pearl Harbor, which when you live in Hawaii, people come to visit you a lot and you always take them to Pearl Harbor. Like, that's one of the things that you do. So to go visit the Uss Arizona Memorial, you have to get on another, like on a little boat, and it takes you out across the harbor to the memorial. And I feel like most people know, but if you don't, the USS Arizona sank when Pearl Harbor was attacked in 1941, and it's still there. And they've just built this beautiful white arch and memorial over the wreckage. So I'm in this boat, and you know, it's just like a little, like not a ferry, but like it's a little boat that, you know, 15, 20 people, I guess, can fit on. And you know, just buzz over there. It takes you like 3 or 4 minutes. You're not in the boat for a long time. And it rides kind of low. So if you've heard me talk about how the Jungle Cruise boat is, like you're sitting there and the water is like not that far from like the edge where you are. So like I could have easily reached my hand out and like put my hand in the water. I didn't, because as I'm sitting in this boat, I was 10, and I'm sitting there and I am thinking about I was fascinated by Pearl Harbor and World War II in general. And so I'm like thinking about all the documentaries I've watched and all the stuff that I've read and all the pictures I've seen, and I'm like, oh man, this is so cool, I'm gonna go see this. And then I start to see the wreckage that's just like barely poking up out of the water, and my tiny heart started doing gymnastics all over, and I was like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't want to be near this water, I don't want to be near this water, I have to get out of this water. And just like the idea of our little boat sinking and me being in the water with that wreckage was horrifying. I wasn't afraid of like drowning, I'm not afraid of a boat sinking or anything like that. That's not a fear that I have. I'm not afraid of like deep water, oceans and stuff like that. Doesn't bother me. That's not a thing that I'm afraid of. But seeing that rusted, corroded, mangled metal that is supposed to be floating on top of the water, and it's underneath and it's just like poking out, whoo Lord. Nope, I was not having it. I'll insert some pictures of the stuff that we saw at Pearl Harbor, and specifically the Arizona, so that you can see kind of what I'm talking about. There's the gun turrets that are poking up out of there, and you can see, like, you can look down through the memorial and look down into the ship underneath, and you can still watch it leaking oil. That was my first experience where I realized I really do not like seeing man-made stuff underwater. So the next time, also in Hawaii, that I remember feeling this like cringe was we went on a submarine tour, and Atlantis submarines, I believe, is still a thing. You can still do it. It's in Waikiki. So, you know, go enjoy, have fun. Subs, endlessly fascinating. I love the ocean. I love the fish. I love the sea turtles. I was like, yeah, let's do it. We go and you get to interact with some sea life ahead of time. I think I have some pictures of me holding like a sea cucumber or sea urchin, starfish, stuff like that. Like, that was super cool. And then we get in the sub and I'm like, yeah, let's go see some marine life. This is exciting, because like, what 11-year-old doesn't want to be a marine biologist or something along those lines? And then we got in the thing and we're diving down, and I was a little freaked out about the fact that they had a thing on the wall of the sub that like measured how deep you were and like told you, and I'm going, could I hold my breath that long if this thing like explodes? And I got to get back to the normal thoughts for an 11-year-old, right? Anyway, so that was a little bit freaky, but again, I'm not like super terrified of like being down in the ocean or anything like that. But we got down to the bottom of, it's a staged area. They've set it up for these tour groups, this submarine tour. They have intentionally sunk items so that you can see like the coral and stuff that grows on it, and you can, you know, it gives you stuff to look at, and it's things for animals to have like a habitat. They swim in, around it, they live there, whatever. It's supposed to be cool. To most people, probably is. To me, seeing an airplane under the water, not cool. No, not at all. If it was pristine and clean, I think I'd be okay for some reason, but it's the corrosion, it's the wear and tear that it's received from being under the water. It's, you know, the, like I said, the coral and things that are growing on it. And so those were the two things that I remember thinking, oh wow, I really don't like this. And as soon as I found out what submechanophobia was, those immediately sprang to my mind. I was like, that is what I was feeling. I was just feeling this cringe from seeing man-made objects that are not supposed to be underwater. So that was my experience. Let's talk about some stuff at theme parks. So I was mentioning that if it was like pristine looking, it wouldn't bother me as much. For Disney Cruise Lines, they have a whole snorkeling area set up where you can go on an excursion and you can like go and you can snorkel down, and they have some stuff that's down there with, you know, the little fishy swimming around and things like that. There is a Minnie Mouse statue, and look at her. She's adorable. She's so cute. She's nice and clean. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm sure that I could probably find pictures of her looking a little bit, you know, older and more ragged. I don't want to find those pictures because I saw this one of Mickey. No, Minnie fine, Mickey bad. I'm not having that. So things like that, like, that's kind of what I mean when I say if it's pristine, it's not nearly as creepy. I mentioned earlier that the entire thing that started this idea for me was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction. And I've mentioned before that my mom was at Disney World the opening year, so I was like, Mom, did you ride this? And she said, yeah. And I said, was it cool? And she's like, oh yeah, it was real cool. So watching like the very limited footage that there is of the ride when it was in operation, super cool. I'm not bothered by it because it's not abandoned. And I've realized that that's my main problem. If it's an animatronic under the water that's supposed to be there, and it's like well maintained, and it's well kept, and it looks like what it's supposed to look like, I'm okay. Like the Jungle Cruise, people are probably thinking that hippo pool probably sent you into orbit every day, and it really didn't, because the hippos just look like hippos, and they would just like pop up out of the water and they're like wiggle their little hippo ears, and like it was cute. They were well maintained, they were clean, they were like, they look like hippos. And so watching the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea footage, I'm like, oh look, it's a big squid and it's a big sea monster, and like there's all this stuff. But then they get to the Atlantis scene. Is meant to look ancient, it's meant to look corroded, it's meant to look broken down, and it does. And there goes Meaghan's heart rate again. That's an example. Like, I don't know if what I am feeling is similar to other people. Like, is it the abandoned stuff that y'all also don't like, or is it just anything that is man-made that's underwater? It's just a big no for you. So I'm curious, let me know that down below. But I am going to insert some pictures from that website I mentioned, and I'll link the website that I found the pictures on. I'll link that in the description down there for you. But here are some pictures of after they drained 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, 10 years after they stopped operation. Like, the water was still there, these things were still under the water for 10 years. They shut it down in 1993 or 4, and they didn't drain it until 2004. So all of this stuff was just hanging out under the water, abandoned, without anyone thinking about it for 10 years. And that fact alone, without even seeing the pictures, just about makes me crawl out of my pants. Here are some of the pictures. There's some of the sea monster and some from the Atlantis scene, like I mentioned, some shipwrecks and stuff like that. And that is just, it's a big no from me. I don't know. And kind of going along with the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction, where that was, I had no memory or consciousness of that ever being a ride. But what I do remember from when I went in 97 or 98 was the grotto area. There was an Ariel's grotto where you could go and meet Ariel, and there was this big lagoon. There was all this like crystal clear water, and if you looked real close, you could see a track underneath. That was 20,000 Leagues. So that was under there, and there was this King Triton statue, so vivid in my memory, that it was like a bronze statue, and he was holding his Triton and it was shooting water, which you'd think, like, I loved Little Mermaid, should be cool. Freaked me out. It was the fact that that water was so clear that you could see that like his body ended and there wasn't anything else under there, and that's weird to me too, which is what I will talk about in just a second with Universal attractions. That's another part of it. Like, it's not a complete thing. And there's like what's the rest of it under the water? I don't like this at all. Going along with the not being able to see what's underneath, like where's the rest of it kind of thing, let's talk about Universal. Jurassic Park River Adventure. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? Everyone loves dinosaurs, especially the water guys. They're adorable. Those big long-necked ones and the hadrosaurs and all of the little water-dwelling guys. They're so cute. I remember the first time I rode it, I was like, oh, this is so calm, this is so peaceful. I know we're gonna come to the scary Jurassic Park dinosaur, and we're gonna, T-Rex, and we're gonna drop and all that. Like, I'm expecting it, I knew what to expect. But I was like, oh, this is so peaceful. We're just riding through. It's such a calm little water ride. Oh, look, there's a partial dinosaur sticking out of the water. Can we not? Like, it's just part of him. And I can see through the water, and I know that there's not anything else under there. And then we come farther and to the hadrosaur pool, and there's another one, and it's the same situation. So that's one. And then Jaws. I never actually got to ride Jaws, but I heard people talk about it so much when I was working there, and I had a lot of friends who were dual skippers. They were skippers at Jungle Cruise, and they were also skippers at Universal before Jaws closed, that I watched a lot of the ride-throughs, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out like why every time one of those blasted sharks showed up, I was like this. I was, watching the video like this, because I'm not afraid of sharks. Real sharks don't scare me, which is strange. They should. There comes little Brucey, or whatever his name is, and I'm like, nope, not having that. Put in a couple pictures here for you of a couple of the different times, when he bites the electrical wire, and then when he fries himself in doing so. There's nothing scary about the animatronic itself, but the fact that it's in the water is terrifying. So that is Submechanophobia, and a little bit like theme park edition. I don't know that this is an actual classified phobia that people receive treatment for or anything, but I feel like a lot of people, kind of like trypophobia that circulated on the internet a few years ago, I feel like everyone is like, yeah, that's a thing I really don't like. So are you a person who is not bothered by this? Like, let me know if these things are just really cool to you and you're just really genuinely interested, or if you are like me and you're not deathly afraid of it, but you really do not enjoy looking at it. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Did you know that this was a thing before this? I just learned about it literally maybe 3 weeks ago, and I've just been sitting with it for a while now, and I decided I must get this out. I must talk to somebody about it, so I'm talking to y'all. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.